If you found this video, you know what this is. It is what I consider the most iconic U.S. military edge weapon of World War II. It's a Kabar, K-A-B-A-R, and more specifically one made for the United States Marine Corps, stamped here on the blade, USMC, and on the other side it just says Kabar. This is a wartime knife from World War II, and they did not produce these after 1945. Again, not until I think in the 1970s. Then they came out with some private sale ones, commemorative pieces. You'll see those. The scabbard will have USMC on it and an eagle and that sort of thing. But this is the genuine World War II K-bar. And this was really the first one of its kind of this type of military knife in World War II. But soon after, the Union Cutlery Company of New York started making these, the government assigned contracts to other companies to produce, World War II fighting knives, and all based really on the K-bar. And it became such that a lot of things started being called K-bars. This is a K-bar and this is a K-bar. Well, what's the difference? Well, the scabbard is different on this. And this is not actually made by the K-bar company. This is made by Camillus. And it was made for the United States Navy. It's the Mark II fighting knife. So this is actually made by K-bar. This is the K-bar clone, if you will. And they're both World War II. And this is why K-bar became like the word Kleenex when it applies to World War II fighting knives. You know, no matter who actually made it, we refer to them all as K-bars. But this one right here, I suggest is the most, really, the most symbolic of that whole period, the genuine K-bar from OLEAN, New York. The knives are all beauties. Look at that Navy Mark II. That's got a lot. That's a really, really good condition. Original sharp edge there and all that bluing. And so if you're a collector, you know that's really good stuff there. And to show you how far the K-bar thing goes, here's one, this rusty hunk here. This is actually not a K-bar. This is a Camillus made by the same company that made this one. The difference was this one was made before 1946. This one was made after 1976. And again, you look at those, all pretty much the same. Now, what got me onto K-bars this week? Well, I went to the local big box electronics store, in this case Fry's Electronics. I'm checking out, and at the counter, at the checkout counter, they had this point of sale display and little plastic packets containing what was called the Mini USMC Survival Knife, Humvee brand. And in the fine print on the back, we find out distributed by Big Five Sporting Goods. But, so this thing's made, what, 2017 or so? And what we have here is, as is suggested, Mini USMC knife. Really, it's how many years has it been since the end of World War II? And here they are still, copying this early design here from what, 1942? I think the specs were drawn up for this one. So it's kind of cool to see that this iconic symbol of the Marine Corps and the War in the Pacific lives on at the local big box electronics store. And I'm sure a lot of computer nerds took this home to use for, cutting rope and things, or opening the mail. Now nobody gets mail to open anymore. So I don't know what public is doing with these things. Little mini-me right there comes with this plastic scabbard with a chain. I haven't stuck it in there yet. Unlike the real K-bars, the Navy had these fiberglass ones. The Marines always used the leather, and I think that was brown when it started life many, many eons ago. And this little knife right here, this is like a great uncle or something of these World War II fighting knives. Before the war, they were making knives like this, and some people will look at that handle and say, "Oh, that's nice wood," and that is actually, as many of you know, leather. It's stacked leather rings. And the same thing is used on the K-bars, real and generic. These are stacked leather rings. The difference here is they left grooves in there. I think it was so if your hands were sweating, it would help you hold on to it. And when it comes to stacked leather rings. I found this recently. I bought a bunch of kind of a knife collection, some broken stuff, and this was a stacked leather grip without the blade. Now, normally the blade is here and there's a guard, and they start at this end right here and put on these stacked pieces, and then when they get them all on the tang, which is that little piece of metal right there, then they put this cap on it, the pommel, and put a pin in there to lock that in place. But we're going to start from the other end. So we just pull this piece off. Actually, when you pull it off, it kind of looks like wood. And the pieces are different thickness. And they just keep doing that right on up the line. So there you have it, everything you ever wanted to know about the Kabars, the World War II fighting knives. And there's a lot of variations of these online that you can learn about. Here's something put together back in 1978, and they talk about how that the company sent off drawings in 1942 to the Marine Corps for the specification, and says these are some of the variations to be found in the fighting and utility knife made by Kabar, which indicates they did not follow too closely the blueprints on this knife, which they sent to the Depot of Supplies, U.S. Marine Corps, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, blah, blah, blah. So, again, there's a lot of variations here, and people who want to collect these will maybe want each variant, and I can tell you already that there are variants that aren't shown here. So, and this, again, the latest, the little mini me, and let's see if we can figure out how that goes in there. Ah, okay. Locks in there. I guess that'd be a nice thing to carry while hiking or, in a street fight. Okay, take care. Krusty Bob over and out.